63.
Yeah.
So before that Qawwali incident, Baba had some work with Meherji. So, and he asked Meherji to bring me along with him. And also I think Dadi was there.
Yeah.
My cousin Dadi, Kerawala. So I remember Meherji and I and Dadi traveling and coming to Mehrazad. And Mummy had given us some packed lunch. So Baba had told us to be here by about 2 o'clock. So we were a little early. So when entering the private road, just at the near the end, we just got down under the tree there and had a little lunch, and just to pass time, not to be too early here. And then we came here, and Baba then, I don't know what transpired. He had some work with Meherji, and then Baba was asking me certain things about the household affairs and all that. But what had happened was the traveling in the heat of the day, I somehow had a little bit of a heat stroke, and eating that food there on the way, it began to cause nausea, and I was feeling very, very sick before Baba also. I didn't know what to do, so any excuse and I would just go out of the room, and Dadi being a shy type, he also would just skip out, So Baba began to inquire, what's wrong with you guys? Why you people are leaving the place so often? And I thought I would throw up something, So I would go to the tap there and wash my face, and I didn't know what to do now. And the nausea was increasing considerably. By that time it was tea time. So Baba says, now line up. So Baba started to distribute prasad. And that day somebody had brought sweets. So big gulab jamuns, I remember. Those sugary lumps of condensed milk, it's powdered milk, and it's made into a sweet and with sugar syrup. Now the sight like that with a nauseating stomach would make you feel throw up right just by the sight of it, with all that sugary syrup. So Baba is doling out big heaps of the sweet to each one of us, and I took it also, and now we had to eat that, So I was wondering how I would eat this. So I went to a quiet place and just gulped it down, and I thought I would now definitely throw it out, but I don't know what happened, that all of a sudden the nausea began to subside. I don't know what it was, but that I had that experience. That eating this thing,
the worst thing for it.
It should have just been brought out instantly. But it just went in and the stomach settled down, and I began to feel good. And in an hour's time all that had gone. And just as well, because Baba says, I want you all to stay overnight here, because I've booked your seats for the circus also. We are all going to the circus today. A small circus had come to town at Ahmednagar. So Baba and all the Mandli were to go to the circus. And Baba had arranged for tickets for all three of us also. So he says, you have to spend the night here. So we were ready for the show. And then we all went for the circus in the evening. It was a small affair, Tiny ring was there. And but although it was very small, it was a very well organized little show. and the performers were very skilled, and they did very good acts, and everybody liked it. Baba was sitting with the women mandali in one place, and the men mandali a little distance away.
Oh, this was everyone went then.
Yeah. The whole ashram had gone, except for perhaps for one or two watchmen or somebody might have been kept back. The rest of us all accompanied Baba. And very nice show. Of course, Baba was incognito, but nobody should know because the seclusion was there. So this was a sort of a recreation for Baba. And after the show, now Baba told the women, let's go before the final act. So the women persuaded Baba, it's nice, Baba, let's watch. They wanted Baba to enjoy the show, So he said, all right, let's watch the thing. And he gave in to their wishes, little knowing what was in store. No, had they followed Baba's instructions, it would have been better. Because what happened was, the final act, it was a surprise. In the empty ring, in strode the owner of the circus with the elephant who was performing in the circus. And the elephant had a huge garland in his trunk, holding it in his trunk. And he did the round of the whole ring, and the elephant stopped just where Baba was seated on the ring side. And then the owner said, all right, do your duty. And the elephant put its trunk up in salute, and then put the garland on Baba's around Baba's neck. And Baba was surprised, and the women were surprised. Everybody was surprised. And the whole crowd came to know that Baba is there. Hey, and there was a big shouting of Baba's Jai, and Baba was, he says, I'm disturbed in my seclusion. This shouldn't have happened.
But I mean, did the owner know that Baba was there?
He somehow came to know that Baba was there. Yeah. So he quietly did this last act, Yeah, that was a grand finale. Of course, the Mandli and everybody were happy, but Baba was not pleased. So anyway, so then we came away. The next day, of course, the usual Baba routine was there of prayers and other things. After that, then Baba started to discuss about the circus. So he started to inquire, how did you like it? How did you like it? So they would all say, yes, Baba, excellent. And somebody would say, this performance was so good. Somebody said this was so good. And then Baba said he liked one act the most, and that was one act which was performed by a Chinaman. So I still remember it was an act where this Chinaman was there. He was a nice, stout and short type of person, very athletic. So he comes with this ladder, and a table is put on the ring, in the ring. Then he climbs up on that table. Then he holds this ladder onto the table, and then he starts to climb the ladder. So first thing is just climbs up without any support up, comes down. Then the next act was really breathtaking. So now he goes up through the steps, into the steps. So like a snake would, in and out. So he started to do this, all the while balancing the ladder on this precariously perched table, and quite a high ladder, mind you. Yeah. So he goes up there and does a head balance on the top rung. And the ladder is swaying. He keeps doing this, to the ladder. So that was scaring everybody. He might fall and break his neck or something. Quite a height. he does this, and then he comes back with head down, and again with passing through this. But taking each step very gradually, one step. So Baba says, I like that very much, he says. It was one step at a time. So he says, in this incarnation I've learned something new. One step at a time.
Oh.
So that was a very profound remark he made. One step at a time. He says, I must be going too, something must be there, I must be going too fast, I must take one step at a time.
Oh.
So everybody laughed at that remark. Yes, that was one incident I remember in that visit. And then what you mentioned about this, I think Baba called us at that time when that Qawwali program took place.
Yeah.
And some people from the Ahmednagar center also were called. There was a big group here, and we had this Qawwali program. And after that, Baba had arranged for a bhajia party. You know what bhajia is?
Yeah.
Those fried chickpea, flour, eatables, you know. So, Baba had a great taste for bhajiyas, you know. He liked bhajiyas very much. So another chickpea preparation that Baba liked was from chickpea flour they would make these soft salty sort of preparation which is called gathia. It's very, very soft and salty, made from chickpea flour. So those were Baba's favorites. Yeah. So
what's the second called? Is gathia?
Gathia. Actually, they eat it in combination with fine sev they make from chickpea flour, like vermicelli, you know, fine strands. So they make strands of this chickpea flour and fry it, salty, and it's quite crunchy. Yeah. So it's a very favorite thing of Indian, and Baba's favorite.
I'll have to ask Khurshid about it. She's very much into the foods.
Yeah, so you ask her. In fact, I remember once when Baba was going to Purandar, you know, there's a fort near Pune. So Baba had he wanted to do some mast and seclusion work in a secluded place. So there was a fort called Purandar, an old-time fort of Shivaji, so near Pune. So Baba decided to go there. Iraj had found the place and it was nice, so Baba took me along also. Iraj said, Baba, let Meherwan come also, supposing if there's some emergency. So Baba made a wry face. Why? What emergency? Just Baba, he was seeking some excuse to get me in. So Baba said, all right, let him come. So I was sitting beside Baba in the car, and car went out of Bindra house, took a turn, and just a couple of blocks down the road, Baba bends down to pick up a box. So I said, Baba, I'll pick it up for you. He said, no. You have nothing to do with that. And he puts it on his lap. I said, Baba, I'll hold it for you. No. He opens the box and brings out this gathia. You have this. Since you want, you have this. As if to say, since you want it so much, have this. So he hands it in such a nice way, you know, this soft gathia. So as soon as he's on the journey, he must have something to munch, you know. So this was his favorite.
Did Baba like to have something to munch when he was on the road?
Yeah, not only on the road, even during the night he would ask Naja to bring something for him to eat. He felt hungry, you know, this was his sign. And Naja would bring something and he would eat.
He was a snacker, wasn't he?
So, and he would eat very fast, you know, very fast. And it says that nothing remained in his system for more than a few minutes, I think he said. Just come out.
Right through.
Yeah, right through. As if to give liberation to whatever was passing through him or making him go further ahead.
Well, maybe that's why he had to eat so often, because it was just, he was digesting it, passing through so quickly.
Yeah. Something like the earthworm, I think.
Right.
Well, we don't know what his workings are. Yes, so then after this Qawwali program, we had this bhajia party. So bhajia and tea would be a favorite of Baba. So I remember Chagan Master was given the job of getting good bhajiyas. But that day when he got those bhajiyas, they were so hard, almost like wood, pieces of wood, so hard they were. Because people used to like crunchy bhajiyas, but these were exceptionally hard. So, of course, they all took big helpings, and started to eat, but they couldn't finish it. It was so hard, So, somebody offered, I think I offered something left to Gustaji. Gustaji was very fond of bhajiyas. Yeah. Although he had no teeth, mind you. But he could chew up the hardest possible thing and eat it up.
How would he do that?
Just with his gums. Yeah. It was remarkable. And he was the person with the best of health. Always pink cheeks and rosy cheeks. So then seeing me, other people also started to give. So they would bring their leaves and give to me. And soon Gustaji had a big pile of leaves with bhajiyas in them. And then suddenly Baba came around and he says, "What's this, Gustaji? Where did you get all this?" And he was so annoyed. He says, "Who gave bhajiyas to Gustaji? He'll fall sick. Throw them away at once." And Gustaji says, "No, Baba, I'll be all right. And no, throw them away, Baba. You'll fall sick eating all that." I remember that bhajia party. But that was a nice program before that, a singing program.
How would Baba manage bhajas? Because Baba had few teeth by that.
No, he wouldn't eat those. He would like soft bhajiyas. Yeah. There would be different kinds. Yeah.
Did Baba have any teeth left?
No.
So eating must have been an ordeal.
I think only one tooth was left. My sister used to mention in the Lynx bungalow when Baba was in Bangalore.
Oh, way back then.
Yeah. And Baba would massage the gum of that single tooth that was left inside. Right. And would take great care of it and all that. Yeah, she once mentioned that because she used to attend to Baba's needs in the morning and all that. Right. Yes, the hot water and the bath and washing Baba's face. So that was my sister Meru. Her duty it was. Yeah, who had died later.
Right.
Yeah.
So Baba was most of Baba's the years of his mission, to call it that. Yeah, don't you? I mean, it must have been a real...
Except when Mera prevailed upon him to get dentures. I think I mentioned about that, no?
So.
Yeah, before going to the West in 1952.
Weren't they there in the accident?
Yeah, and Baba, much against his will, acceded to Mera's wish and he had these dentures put. But it seemed the bottom dentures were causing him irritation in the gums or something. So at the time of accident, he was just wearing the top part. And that is what caused so much injury to Baba's mouth inside, Internal bleeding was because they got into the lower gums and caused a lot of injury. But thereafter that was the end.
Yeah.
Then I don't know what happened to those dentures. that they are still in the relics. Might be they might be having them. Or who knows, they were lost in the melee of the accident and all that. But then after that, no further experimenting with Baba's dentures or anything. Yeah. So most of the time he was without any teeth. So those were the intervening months, I think, in 1963. And thereafter, of course, it was time for my stay at Meherazad. And it was, I think, 1964.
What, coming again in January?
Yeah, the usual stay for Baba's birthday occasion.
Sure.
And there was celebration on grand scale all over the world. Because I think the year before that, Baba had said that there should be no public celebration. If I remember right. I think I mentioned that. So, on that year, Baba wanted celebrations to be done on a grand scale, and everywhere there were functions and all that. And also in Andhra and all. So I remember one couple from Hyderabad came to all the way here, thinking that if in their place it was on such a grand scale, so at the source it must be something.
100 times.
Yeah, so we must go and see what's there. So they came all the way here, and then they arrived here, and of course Baba was in seclusion, but somehow they came, and then they were asked why they came, and they said that we felt that something grand must be going on here, and so we would like to attend. Run through Baba's ears, and they were summoned in his presence, and Baba said, "How is it you are here? Don't you know my orders?" So they said, "No, Baba, we thought there would be big celebrations here." Baba says, "I am not here. I am where you came from. That is where I am. So, and here, I am not here. What you see is not me. So that's why you don't see anything here. See, is that, do you see anything here? Now go back quick and attend my functions there, because I am there only." So that was a nice little discourse that they got. And they rushed back again. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I gathered that as a general rule, Baba's birthday was not celebrated in a grand way where he was.
Yeah.
And during the seclusion years, anyway.
That's right. Except that the servants were given the privilege to decorate the place in their own little humble way. So they would bring these Chinese, those Chinese paper cuttings and all that, decorative things like balloons and bells, and they would hang them under the roof here and outside. Outside, of course, there was no veranda at that time. So mainly it would be in the hall, and they would decorate Baba's seat sometimes. So that was the privilege for the Meherazad staff to take over, and they would work whole night to decorate the room.
The roof was lower at that time.
Much earlier. It was. I think it was renovated twice. When Baba was here also once, and it was renovated, and then again after Baba passed away. So there were alterations twice, I think. But the servants would do all that. But otherwise nothing. On Baba's birthday, as usual, it would be very simple. We would all clean up and just have our baths quickly, and 5 o'clock we'd all line up here. I think you've been here in one of the birthdays.
The same.
Yeah, so basically just the same thing. It would just call out Baba's Avatar Mein Baba Ki Jai 7 times, and we would be with him, calling out the name, and then he would read out the prayer, and the two prayers, Parvatigar and Repentance prayer. That would be it. And then there would be some arti in record sung or something. Because only there were no singers at that time. And then we would have nice good breakfast of rava or sev with a little yogurt. That's how we would celebrate Baba's birthday, in a simple, quiet way. And then women would do the same with Baba there, on the women's side. And of course they would decorate Baba's table there a little, and there would be those cards displayed of people were allowed to send greeting cards and telegrams just for the birthday, without mentioning anything else. That was the only thing they were allowed to do.
So there must have been quite a pile of those.
Yeah, and piles of cables and telegrams. Ahmednagar telegraph office, it would be a nightmare for it on Baba's birthday. Never so much traffic. The office would be completely jammed up. Faram, did you meet Faram?
Yeah,
Faram working.
yeah.
So he would write very witty letters about how he would go there and they would give him a stool to sit or something, and he would first time he would be respected by those clerks, Although he appeared so shabby, his dress would be very simple, So he would write notes to Baba. He was a very witty fellow. So the first time I would be sirred and stooled. That means he would be addressed as sir and offered a stool to sit. Yeah, so that would be Baba's birthday function usually at Meherwan. Yeah, so I don't recollect much that year in Meherwan. And soon it was time for me. Of course, the usual telegrams and cables would come to me for final filing and disposal and all that. And then I would be ready to go back to make preparations for Baba's oncoming stay in the summer at Guru Prasad. So, Baba then, this is 1964.
And it says here that Baba did not give darshan.
Yeah, so Baba's seclusion, Baba had sent out circulars that his seclusion would continue, he would not want any disturbance. So, according to his wishes, nobody ever ventured to go to Guru Prasad. But Baba had promised that he would open the Pune center. I think a year or two before that, Baba had given his word. So, the main thing that year was this opening of the Pune center. So,
one thing I'm thinking is that last week Alaba had said end by 5 so that people can come in. And
all right. So how much more do we have? So we'll stop here.
Okay.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. This is November 21st, 1994, and I'm with Meherwan Jessawala, whose birthday will be tomorrow. This is sort of festivities approaching that occasion. This is the 16th tape in this series. And last time we had gone remembering, you were recollecting episodes from 1963 mostly and spilling over into 1964.
Yes.
So we could resume from there.
Yeah.
Wherever you like.
After we finished last sitting, I was just going through my other records, and Manu happened to also come across some old letters that were in my mother's trunk. Yes, so two very interesting letters came to hand, and that struck a chord in my memory, that in 1963, when Baba came to Guru Prasad, as soon as he arrived at Guru Prasad, he tells Airaj that I want to go to Bindra house right away. I want to see Mummy. So,
Means your mother.
yeah, my mother. I was also there, so Airaj, myself, and about one or two others, and Baba drove down to Bindra house, and of course all were busy preparing Baba's food and all that. And suddenly they hear the car of Baba's horn, and they rush out, not expecting to see Baba, of course, because that was the day Baba arrived. So, to their utter surprise, they find we are helping Baba out. The car was taken into the compound, and Baba comes out, and Mummy rushes out. And Baba embraces her and says that, did you receive the letter I asked Airaj to send? And she said, yes, Baba. So I'll read out the portion of that letter which is relevant. And Baba says that of late I've been remembering you quite often. I don't know what makes me think about you so often these days. So I just couldn't resist coming and meeting you right away. So Baba just came and embraced her, and Mama started to weep and said, Baba, you were so tired, this could have been deferred to some later time and all that. No, he said, I had to see you right away and I've come. So it seems something must be happening in her heart, and she must be having some sort of feeling for seeing him or something, and which had the response in Baba, and so we see this response taking place. Very often in Baba's tours also we find that how Baba would respond to his lover's call and just pay visits to places where he hadn't even visited, by directing people to go there. So the response seems to be quite automatic. So it's a pointer to us all that if we really want to have his company, he is always there. It's for us to have that great yearning for him. So I'll read out the yeah.
Beautiful.
It's just one of the very few letters that really have been kept by the family, and fortunately these came to my hand just about this time. So this is the first letter that Airaj writes from Meherazad. Meherazad, 14th March 63. My dear Mummy, beloved Baba wants me to write to you saying that he is being reminded of you so often since past 3 days. Now in Gujarati he writes, 3-4 દિવસ થયા ઘડી ઘડી યાદ કેમ આવે છે? Baba is asking a question since the last 3 or 4 days. How is it that I keep remembering you? He asks a question of Mummy. Baba wants to know the why of it. And there's an exclamation mark. Beloved Baba sends his love in capitals to you and wants me to convey to you that he is made very happy by your love for him. Baba wants you to give his love to his very dear Manu and Meherwan. Yours lovingly, Airaj. That was the letter on 14th March, and then it seems that Baba again asked him to write. So this is now Merazad, 23rd March 63. My dear Mummy, beloved Baba wants me to inform you that he knows well how much you love him, and he wants you to know that he loves you much more than you love him. And this is the reason why you are very frequently remembered by him. The Chalu Yad Avya Courage in Gujarati. That means I am constantly getting thoughts about you, to the effect. Yeah. Now, beloved Baba sends his love in capitals to you, dear Manu and dear Meherwan. Now, Dheeraj writes further, in spite of our arrival in Pune tomorrow, beloved Baba insisted that I write to you today, express delivery letter. Hence, this letter to you with much love from me and from each one of us at Merazad to all dear ones in Bindra House and Ganeshkin. Yours lovingly, Dheeraj. So this is 23rd March 1963, and Baba arrives at Guru Prasad on 24th. And it's by express delivery.
So the letter got here ahead of...
It comes like a sort of special delivery. At that time we had these express delivery letters. You had to pay extra for that and put an express delivery label on top. And it used to be delivered by telegraph messenger. That letter would go to the telegraph office for delivery, yeah.
I see. Did you ever hear from your mother anymore about what all this was about? Why the Baba wanted to know?
No, we didn't ask her that. These are personal things, and one doesn't ask personal questions, you know. It's best left undisturbed. So this was a very remarkable incident that occurred in 1963. This is how the 1963 Guru Prasad stay commenced.
First thing, right?
Right, yeah. As soon as he arrived at Guru Prasad, I remember that.
Sounds like a very touching moment.
Yeah. And another thing equally touching was of Asfandyar Vesali in the same year, which I also forgot to mention. So this was another heart which was yearning to have the beloved's darshan. You know, he was the person who was a small boy in Meher Ashram in the early 20s at Meherabad. Baba had opened the school for the boys, and he was one of the inmates of that school. And after studying for some time under in Baba's school, then he was sent back to Iran. And ever since then, I think he hadn't met Baba.
40 years that would be.
Yeah, about 35 or so. Quite a long interval. And he suddenly seemed to be just having this great urge to be with Baba. And there were so many periods of seclusion, there was a new life and other things. And one after the other, something was coming in the way. And then he had heard that Baba was going to give darshan in 1963. So he was very keen to come and have darshan. So he wrote to Baidul. At that time, Baidul was the one who used to correspond with the Zoroastrians in Iran. Yeah. So, and generally for Iran he was doing. Of course Aloba also, I don't know whether Aloba was doing it at that time or he took over after Baidul died or whatever. But so I remember that letter had come to Baidul, and during correspondence time he read this letter to Baba in which Vesali bemoans his fate. He says that in the letter he writes that he is so very keen to have the beloved's darshan once again, but due to financial restraints he is unable to come. What a pity that he couldn't come. But he should convey his love to Baba and pray to him on his behalf that he makes it possible for him to come, because he can't restrain himself any longer now. So Baba hears the letter and then asks him to write. Either it was Aloba or Baidul, I'm not sure, but one of the two was, that to write back to Asfandiar that he must, he should go every morning. Baba asked what is his main source of income. So Baidul said that Baba, he has an orchard there, and on the fruits that he sells, he carries on with his livelihood. So, was Aloba? Yeah. So on that he could carry on with his livelihood. So Baba, and of late there was drought and all that, so the crops had failed, and he was very despondent about the whole thing. So then Baba asked him to write back and tell him that every morning he should go and before each tree and speak out that Meher Baba wants you to produce abundance of fruit, so that after selling the fruit I would be able to earn money and go and visit my beloved Lord Meher Baba. Something to that effect. So Aloba, it was Aloba, is it? So Aloba just heard that and he thought Baba was just joking or something, and he didn't take it seriously. Then a couple of days later, again Baba asked him, well, did you write what I said? So he said, no, Baba. And Baba was surprised. He says, how come you didn't? Baba, he said, I thought it was, you just mentioned it as a sort of joke or something. So Baba was upset. He says, write immediately and send this letter. So he wrote. And in fact, that's exactly what Asfandiar did. And each morning he would go to each tree and read out this message from Baba. And that year somehow there was a frost, and other trees didn't produce any fruit, and his orchard was full of fruits, and he could sell them at a big profit. And there he was at Guru Prasad in 1963. And after many years he met Baba, and then Baba allowed him to be there for quite a few days. Then he went back. His boat was not available, so he came back to Pune. This happened twice or thrice. So the third time Baba said, now if there is a boat or not, you don't come back to Pune. So that was his last trip to Guru Prasad and last visit for when he saw Baba physically. Okay, so we'll continue.
Jai Baba.
The sound is coming all right?
Yeah. Okay, it's still November 21st after tea time. Resuming.
It's on? Jai Baba. Yes, so we were talking of Asfandiar Visali, and so I remember his wanting to keep coming back to Guru Prasad on some excuse or the other. And finally Baba giving him the order that he must stay in Bombay until he gets a proper passage back and not to come back again. And that was the last we saw of him until I think 2 or 3 years back when he paid a visit to Mirazad again.
He came in the 70s also.
He came in the 70s?
Like 77 or something.
Oh, I didn't see him then, probably.
I remember. He has described sometimes his experiences in the Kremashram, and he does seem to have experienced like the inner plane, something to do with that.
Yes,
what he's described must be that.
Baba was giving some esoteric experiences to the boys at that time, and we get descriptions of it in the book Sobs and Throbs also. how the boys would respond to Baba and the great love that they would have for him. Yeah, it was remarkable. And that in fact was misconstrued by the general public, and they thought that strange things were going on in the school. And eventually it led, I think, to the winding up of the school. But probably it was the time for Baba to wind it up. So he needed some excuse. Yeah. So, yeah. There is another incident I recall. Just as we had these two incidents about people wanting a sight of him, there was a girl who wanted the sight of the world.
Of the world?
Yeah, she was a blind girl, in short. And one day, I don't know which year it was now, but since we are going back in time, so I might as well recount this story, which I also recalled the other day. And she was staying in Pune itself. She was a Bengali girl, I remember, but totally blind. So her parents had brought her to Guru Prasad. It was some darshan day, and she could sing very, very well, and had a very sweet voice, and a very sweet, innocent face. She was quite grown up, about in her 20s probably, or in her late teens. And she had a very beautiful voice, and Baba liked the singing very much. And then her parents beseeched Baba that let your grace be on her so that she could get back her sight. So Baba I don't know what he got the whim or whatever, and he told the parents to do certain things for the girl, that she had to do such things for a certain length of time, and then she would get back her sight. So we all wondered how Baba would do this sort of a thing. He never did such things, but despite that he just gave these instructions to the parents, and they departed happily. And then, as usual, Baba was not very happy with the situation. And what if the girl did all this and didn't get her sight, or some such thing, I think went on for some time. But the thing was that later it came to our notice that the girl was not able to follow Baba's instructions. Yes, she tried to do them, but she couldn't do it. So probably it was fated that she shouldn't get back her sight. Then later I found that she was staying quite close to Bindra house. In fact, a few blocks down the road, in a small by-lane, they used to stay there, and she would go out for walks with her parents, and then we recognized it was the same girl who had come to sing before Baba.
Were they among the regular lovers of Baba?
No.
It's unusual for Baba to have taken that step of time.
Yeah, but, well, that was a request to Baba and he granted it. But people couldn't take advantage of it.
Do you know what the orders were?
I don't recollect that. Something Baba had said. Yeah. So that was the eventful year of 1963. I don't think I could recall anything beyond these few points. And then, of course, we now jump back to 1964, and Baba had already declared by his circular that he would not give darshan in 1964. So when he was there, it was a very quiet stay, and only when only those of us who were allowed to visit him could see him and be with him, or anyone whom he called for work. But otherwise darshan was not there for other people in Pune or outside.
Right. How often would you have the opportunity to come see Baba on one piece of business or another?
Whenever I had off or from my office, like weekends or any holidays, then I was allowed to go. To go to Guru Prasad.
Could Manu come also?
Yeah, not Manu, Mama when they were called, but I was allowed to go whenever I had the time to go. Yeah. And except in 1968, when Baba totally stopped everybody entering Guru Prasad. So that was the only year that I didn't see Baba.
At all?
Except when I was here at Meherazad for the earlier part
in January,
February. But when he came over to Guru Prasad, nothing. Yeah. So, 1964, 1st May, as Baba had said previously that he would open the center. And on the appointed day,
the Pune Center.
Pune Center. So, Baba went there early morning, and only Baba lovers were allowed to come that day. It was not a public darshan. Baba had announced that outsiders should not be invited to come. So it was a quiet affair, but that quiet affair turned out to be quite big also, because the hall was packed to capacity. Actually, there was nobody in the hall to begin with. It was all empty because it hadn't been opened yet. So there was a 7-color ribbon, the Baba colored flag, colors of that sort of ribbons were tied across the door. And Baba was given the scissors to cut the ribbons, and then given the key to the door, which he unlocked. And
there's a film of that, I think, isn't there? There's a film of Baba unlocking the door.
Is it there? I only see Baba giving darshan there. I don't remember seeing this opening part of it. Probably it hasn't been shown for quite a long time. Must be there.
It seems that I've heard that it's there, or that I've seen it.
I don't recollect seeing it. So we were all outside in the compound, gathered there, and then Medji, the daughter Parveen, drove the car, I remember. She had the privilege of driving Baba from Guru Prasad to the hall. Yeah. And at that time, the center had a different entrance. Yeah. It was an entrance from a different side altogether. There is a road on which there is Garge Maharaj's Dharamshala on the opposite side. And from there was an entrance, a small lane which led up to the center. Yeah. Which was subsequently given over to the KEM hospital, and they gave an alternate access from the current site.
I see.
Yeah, so
what had been the road is now occupied by the hospital?
Yeah, they wanted to have some they had land on either side.
Yeah.
And this road was passing through their land. So they, as a right of way was there. So they requested the center people, and then, and of course, I'll tell you later about this, there was quite a bit of controversy. So Baba entered through that original route, and then after Baba entered, then all followed suit, and they all occupied the hall. It was quite a big crowd, almost 1,000 people probably. The hall and the gallery on top, and then several people outside, as they couldn't all fit inside. And a small Baba children program was given for Baba's entertainment. And I remember my niece Meherwan Jessawala, she was there to recite the Parvardigar prayer. And at that time, she must be what? 6 years old? 59 she was born.
So 4, 5.
She was, 5
years old.
About 5 years old. And she just rattled off the prayer in a nice loud voice in front of this big crowd, not being deterred by it all. Yeah, she was quite bold. And even now is something like the Mera we see here in front of us. So
don't continue to praise her, else she'll burst out in the Parvardigar prayer.
So the prayers was recited by her, and then there was some little dancing and all that. And then Baba started to give darshan to each one. It was something unscheduled, I think. So everybody had Baba's darshan filing past Baba, having his embrace or whatever. And
see, he was able still to embrace people at that time. He was in a lot of pain at that time, wasn't he? I read in the family letter that he was having a lot of cervical pain during that, not at that, on that occasion specifically.
Just after this it developed.
Oh.
The cervical spondylosis came later. But till then it was the hip joint pain that was bothering him off and on, Sometimes it would be very bad, sometimes I suppose it all reflected from his internal working. The doctors were unable to do much about it. And so this darshan program was concluded, and then by about noontime Baba returned to Guru Prasad. And that was it for the rest of the stay at Guru Prasad, because Baba didn't give any further darshans after that, except for a few that he would call, as I said. So, about the road that you were asking me. So, in the later years, the hospital, I think we are coming to the end of the tape.
Okay. We'll close this one there.
Yeah. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.